Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I've got a friend who moved to Chicago from Cleveland after college. He's kept up on the Cleveland sports scene over the years. Most recently, after the Myles Garrett incident, he called me and rattled off some 15 to 20 only in Cleveland moments, from Red Right 88 to Johnny Manziel to the drive, the shot, and of course, the fumble. He asked when fans will forget what Garrett did the other night. I said, never. Think of Joe Turkey Jones and his upheaval of Terry Bradshaw. They showed that at halftime the other night. That took place in 1976. It's going to be another 43 years before we forget that one. I told my friend we'd really rather have more moments like the 2016 Cavs parade, but we were too busy waiting to sew one up for the Chicago Cubs. Jim Ingraham is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Monday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th year consecutive, and of course seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Jim Ingraham is here. Now we can call him a book writer. Used to be a book reader. Now you're a book writer.
Yeah, it's amazing what can
It is
happen.
your first book, is that correct?
It is. That's correct.
Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians. So what's the book about?
Well, part one's about Mike Hargrove, and part two's about the Cleveland Indians.
Well, that had to be a tough choice. Which one was going to be number one? Which,
Yeah. Well, it's actually a biography of Hargrove, so I guess technically it is first about him, and then his whole career, and before and after the Indians. But
so
obviously, the bulk of it's about.
It's a biography, so there's no misquotes in there.
There better not be. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Plenty to talk about. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at the real Les-Levine at gmail.com. Jim Ingraham with it. Jim, when you do a book like this, and Grover, genuinely a nice guy, probably pretty easy to work with.
Yeah,
he
didn't
was. Throw chairs at you or anything.
The hard part was just getting him to want to sit down and talk about his life. It took a while to convince him that this would be a good idea. But once he started talking about it, I mean, he really, people don't realize the number of big moments he was involved in throughout his whole career, not just in Cleveland. Beer Night, that was actually, he was with the Rangers. It was his rookie year with the Rangers. That was the first time he'd ever been in Cleveland Stadium, the very first game, and to show that his life would have been shaped by Cleveland and then baseball. Yeah, and in fact, on Beer Night, his wife Sharon was back in Perryton, Texas, listening to the game on the radio, almost crying to her father that he was never going to get out of there alive when the riot was going on.
The interesting thing about it, I think, Billy Martin was the manager of the Rangers at the time. My guess is he incited enough stuff with taking the bat out onto the field that he knew he was going to get a forfeit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the bases were loaded, and they were on the verge of winning the game. The Indians were, because it was the bottom of the ninth. And then the people were running on the field the entire game, and then it was actually Hargrove.
Think about what you just said.
What?
People are running out on the field all through the game.
It was. I actually was there as a fan that night. It was a creepy kind of weird vibe in the whole ballpark, the whole thing. But finally, a guy ran out to right field and took Jeff Burroughs' hat and glove, and Hargrove was in first base, and he ran out there and tackled this guy, brought him to the ground, and then everyone just kind of poured out of the stands, and that's when Billy Martin came running out of the dugout with a bat. And actually, the Rangers actually give the Indians players a lot of credit for getting them off the field without any further carnage.
And of course, he's very much famous for saying, when somebody asked him how long did it take for him to get over the World Series loss, and his answer was, "I'll let you know when I get there."
When it happens.
When it happens.
Yeah.
He still hasn't forgotten it. Has he watched the Game 7 of the Florida game and Game 6 of Atlanta?
I don't think he has. Nor has John Hart. Nor has Jim Thome.
Is that true?
Yeah, they all told me that they just. The Game 7 is just too painful to watch.
When I was doing Cleveland State games and Rolly Massimino was coach for a couple of years, and I said, how many times have you seen the Villanova win over Georgetown? He says, I've never seen it before. I know that Rolly would get up at 2 a.m. every morning, pour some hot tea down, and just sit back and watch.
It would be like on a loop on his TV,
Yeah,
you would
right.
think, just constantly.
216-575-0403. Ari, we've avoided it for a couple of minutes. Let's unavoid it now. And that is what happened at in Cleveland the other night, Thursday night, against the Steelers. How does something like that happen? Talking about Myles Garrett, obviously.
In my opinion, it was kind of like this has been the lack of discipline by the Browns all year has been an ongoing issue, and to me this is just the culmination of that long period of behavior, not just by Garrett, but by they've been leading the league in penalties the entire year, and this was another case of a player just losing his mind. In this case, it looked like, and takes the helmet off the Steelers quarterback and hits him over the head with it.
It sounds to me you didn't mention freddie-kitchens, but it sounds like that's where you're pointing.
I do think he's culpable for this kind of attitude. I mean, the coach is supposed to create a culture, a winning culture, and also one of accountability and discipline, and we haven't seen that all year long. Now, I'm not blaming him for what Garrett chose to do, but it also tells me, and I think that the players don't appear to have much respect for him as a coach or his authority or anything.
I think that's how I feel about it. And I know when Eric Mangini was here, despite the bad records, they respected him, and anytime in practice there was a penalty, an offside, or something like that, they immediately stopped the play, and that guy who committed the dastardly deed, he'd have to run up the hill and come back, and because they were, and they learned that that you can't, that you take the coach as far as you can take him, I guess, and that's my guess, that they can take freddie-kitchens a long way, which is taking advantage of the guy.
Well, I just think there's I don't know how we can interpret what's happened with all these penalties and in any other way that they just don't respect him as a coach, because he says all the time, we're going to holding these guys accountable, and we want them to knock the penalties off and everything. But
we don't coach penalties, which is a good line, but it's not true.
Yeah, and it's clear that there's a intentional or not, there appears to be a disconnect between the coach and the team, because you've heard that cliche so many times, the team's a reflection of their coach.
Sure, both ways.
It couldn't be further apart, these two. I mean, the team is one thing and he's the other thing.
All right, so what happens now? I mean, you get, first of all, I thought they overreacted. I think that Roger Goodell overreacted. Certainly suspending him for a certain amount of games is correct, but I don't know that they had to do it that next morning.
I had no problem with that. I thought that was as egregious a moment in the NFL as I've seen maybe ever, and I think doing it immediately, hammers that point home. And I think that he was right. The thing where I think he erred was not given a specific number of games, just saying indefinitely. That was like just announcing, well, we're really mad, but we're not sure how mad yet.
Yeah.
So.
And most of the longer suspensions get whittled down a little bit. They have a meeting in New York and they say, okay, well, let's make it 4 games.
And I think in most sports, when the suspensions come down, the ruling body, in this case the NFL, is mindful of that, and because they're anticipating an appeal, so they probably go 1 or 2 games more than they really intend to have it.
All right, Todd Haley, who was the offensive coordinator last year when Hugh Jackson was here, I'm not sure if he was out of line. I don't know if they should have even bothered asking him what his thoughts are, but let's take a look at what he said. He says, talking about the incident, he says, to me, this comes back to coaching. Don't forget, the job of head coach was given to Freddie-Kitchens over Todd Haley and anybody else. The head coach talks to every assistant coach, who then talk to their group of players. And there's an old saying in coaching, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that would carry a lot more weight if it wasn't coming from someone
who didn't get the job.
Far from an impartial observer in this case, yeah.
Right. All right, so what happens to the Browns now? I mean, there have been so many incidents, and they're trying to, and Jimmy Haslam is kind of kept out of this, but he can't like the fact that his team is always being pointed out as the dumb guys out there, the dumb guys on the block.
Well, I mean, blame the players. They're the ones that are doing the penalties week after week after week. So, they've got this reputation now, and it's going to make it even harder because, they're going to be the referees are going to be watching them even closer than ever before, just because of this long pattern of not being able to control themselves.
The interesting problem is that you've got guys who have been in trouble or known as troublemakers, I guess, and Myles Garrett's not one of them. I mean, Myles Garrett got punched in the face by some fan the other day, and he walked away from it.
By the way, that fan, he's probably breathing a sigh of relief when he
when he saw what
could have happened there. But, yeah, I mean, he doesn't come across off the field as any kind of loose cannon or anything, but he does have, I think, there was a point, maybe he still leads the league in unnecessary roughness penalties. And so he's got that streak in him, and he seems to keep it under control most of the time. But this was just really a bad moment.
You said that was as bad as anything you've seen. Do you think there's a chance they ban him for life?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think if you ban him for the rest of the year, I think that sends a message.
It sends a pretty good
to
message.
Everybody. Yeah.
216-575-0403. We asked a Facebook question of the day, and then we got responses to it. Let's take a look at it. Who's to blame for the Myles Garrett altercation on Thursday? Rick May says Myles Garrett has to accept the blame for his actions. Kitchens should be held accountable for his lack of discipline for the entire team. It started in preseason and against the Colts, and it hasn't been corrected since. Joseph William Reitmeyer, simply Myles Garrett. As I assume he's talking about Ronald Reagan. Each individual is accountable for his actions. On another point, however, the Browns are an undisciplined team and probably an organization with questionable leadership. Chris Ard says if Mason doesn't grab Myles and try to torque his helmet off, then nothing else happens. Mason is responsible for instigating the riot, or the altercation rather, and Myles is responsible for his reaction. And by the way, there are reports out there that Mason-Rudolph might have been involved in kicking in a wrong area. And I don't mean the 35-yard line.
Was it an onside kick?
Yeah. Jay Slagle, this one I don't agree with. Myles has to somehow keep control, but several contributing factors were involved. One, why was Pittsburgh not taking a knee on that play? And second, why were the Browns blitzing? Well, number one, I've never seen a team that was losing that would take a knee. Have you?
No, that would be subject them to ridicule,
right?
Something like that.
Right.
Come on.
All right. And why were the Browns blitzing? Well, if the team's going to play to score a touchdown, you got to play to stop a touchdown.
Especially if they're going to take a knee.
Dave Shoup says blaming Kitchens is lunacy. Garrett snapped, and he's responsible for his actions. Rudolph should get a one-game suspension. Make it two. It's the game that the Browns are playing. Ed Watkins, no matter what he said or what he did, Myles' behavior is reprehensible, especially when there are 8 seconds left in the game that you've soundly won. It's time to, as they sing in Frozen, to let it go. I've been involved, I've been doing shows like this after a lot of things that have happened, and rarely, most times Cleveland fans will come to the defense of the, no pun intended on the defense, but they'll come to the defense of the Cleveland player. Not so much now. And
rightfully so. I mean, there's the few people that are trying to defend or saying that Rudolph started this. I mean, there's nothing that could have happened on a football field that would excuse you taking the guy's helmet off and beating him over the head with it.
Right.
I mean,
especially with the concussions that they're worried about and all that.
And actually, the people should be glad that he isn't suspended, because I think they want him on the field in 2 weeks, because he threw 4 interceptions.
4 interceptions, yeah. All right, so let's go to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, find out what some people are saying. Let's listen in.
Hi, Les. I saw 2 millionaires get in a fight that was very reminiscent of Monday Night Raw, which no one seems to object to, but this somehow has become fodder for the TV stations so we can not pay attention to more pressing things. Thank you.
Well, I don't know about that. Boxing was a staple on TV in the 50s. Yeah. And, the stuff you'd see on a boxing match you wouldn't want to see on Euclid Avenue, I wouldn't think.
That's true.
It's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. Wednesday he'll have a hearing. My guess is they'll knock some games off and see what will happen. I think he has a good track record, other than this terrible blunder. I think, he comes across as a good guy, and maybe they'll go a little lenient. He's a good guy who snapped.
Yeah. I mean, have they announced an actual number of games yet?
The rest of the season,
The rest of the season,
plus
the playoffs.
the playoffs. That's what they've said.
So I mean,
They haven't stopped it at
I don't know
12
how you,
games.
Yeah, I don't know how you can say we're going to reduce this by one game when you really don't know how
When
many
you don't know
games
how many
they're gonna
games it
play.
is right now. Yeah, that's true. 216-575-0403. Here's the stat of the month. Do you know that there's over 238,000 winners on the Ohio Scratch-Offs every day? With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailer. Try your luck on any of the popular holiday-themed Scratch-Offs from the Ohio Lottery. Facebook.com is the place you can go. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new topics posted each and every day. Coming up, Freddie-Kitchens talks about Myles Garrett when we get back with Jim Ingraham. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Well, of course, Myles was having an excellent season, and it's hard to replace somebody with that kind of production. But we've got some guys that are mentally and physically up to the challenge, and I have total confidence they'll give us everything they have and produce when needed.
Is there anything new on Vernon? Would he be available this week?
It's I think it's going to be very close. We just have to play it by the end of the week. See where it is.
Does it feel like a different challenge at all because of what happened Thursday night and kind of all that seems to have gone with it as far as trying to keep these guys together, get them to move on?
I think we've got a resilient bunch of guys that they've accepted a challenge every week. It seems like it's been something different. That's the way football seasons are, though. So when you kind of become talked about, things come to the forefront more often. And our guys have been resilient from the standpoint of they've tried to stay focused week in and week out and just doing the job. We just want to do a good job today and then do a good job tomorrow and then do a good job, of course, ultimately on Sundays when we get graded. Myles Garrett's a good person. He's a good individual. He does a lot in the community. He's a soft-spoken, Myles Garrett's a good person. We're not going to pile on Myles. He had a bad lapse in judgment, and that's it. But I'm still a Myles Garrett fan, and I'm going to support him. Our organization's going to support him, and his teammates will support him, and this coaching staff will support him.
I got to fess up. I think that Freddie-Kitchens there's a percentage figure that he's at fault here. I don't know what that number is. But I feel bad for the guy. He just came up with the biggest win of his coaching career, kind of was ready to get some people off his back. They played a good game, 21-7. A lot of good reasons to say that they played well. And then this comes, and I feel sorry for the guy. I don't know that I want him to be my coach, but I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for him for all the reasons you just said. I mean, he's been waiting for a signature win all year, and maybe it was the Baltimore win, but certainly this one is just as big. And then he's got and it comes right at the end of the game, so he's immediately peggered with questions after the game about what was that
probably
all
hasn't
about.
Processed it at that point.
Yeah, and it's it's. But again, it goes back to if your team is under control, this kind of stuff doesn't happen. And when you get a great win, you can come in and talk about a great win instead of all this other nonsense.
Yeah. All right. So Myles Garrett, Ogunjobi, and Olivier Vernon will be out, so he needs to step up. Let's look at Sheldon Richardson, see what he's got to do or what he's done so far. And the defensive tackle has 38 tackles on the season, 1 for a loss, 1 quarterback hit. That's not very good. And 1 fumble forced and no sacks, so he needs to pump it up a little bit. Do you think that helmet is too big for him?
Slightly.
Chad Thomas, let's look at Chad Thomas, defensive end, 3rd-round draft pick by the Browns in 2018. Started the last 2 games for Olivier Vernon. 13 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, and 1 fumble recovery so far this season. Then there's Devereaux Lawrence. You hear his name a lot. 10 games, 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, and a fumble recovery. So he's around the football. And I don't know who's gonna fill in here. It's gonna be tough for the team.
The saving grace is they're playing Miami. So how tough can it be, right?
Well, we're going to show you a little bit later. The Browns are a 10.5-point favorite. That doesn't happen very often in Cleveland Browns recent history.
No.
Not even recent history. Any history.
Actually, that'd be interesting to look up. Like the last time they were a double-digit.
We have that. Stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll get that a little bit later.
Or a double-digit road favorite.
Oh, even more so.
On the road, yeah.
And how about the fact that their record of 0-16 a couple of years ago may not last all that long with Cincinnati in the hunt?
That's true, yeah.
Must be something about Ohio teams.
Well, you think Hugh Jackson's holding his breath like the Miami-Dolphins do?
He'd hold his breath, but then he'd drop it for a turnover. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations, West 140th, the East and West, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid. Macedonia, that's the one to the south, so it's east, west, and south. And you can also go to the 4th location, if you want to call it that. That's northeastfactorydirect.com. They've got 50 sofas now at each of the locations at around $3.99 and solid wood bunk sets from $2.99. No gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales. If you want nice big ticket items and you want to save money, Northeast Factory Direct is the place to go. Check them out on everything at northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Live racing at 6 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then you've got the weekends on Saturday and Sunday, which starts off at 6:40 for post time. And the contest every Sunday, and the contest with the Belmont Park. And the winner gets a chance, will not get a chance, but the winner will get $500 in cash at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We're going to come back. Mike Massetta from Nature Stone is going to join the conversation. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen, For old world traditions or original experiences, from the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Birthdays for today, Paul Wiggin, great defensive end for the Browns, wound up coaching the Kansas City Chiefs. Halitosis was breathless during that game, 1947. Jack Tatum, this is a good birthday day. Warren Moon, Gary Sheffield, and David Ortiz, Big Papi, all born. That's like an all-star team.
Speaking of hard hitters, Jack Tatum.
Yeah, I would say. Jim Ingram with us says, well, we'll tell you in a minute. Jim, maybe you can answer this question. How come appliances know when the warranty expires so they know when to break down? Isn't it amazing?
I think there's a little guy in the factory that makes programs it.
Right, he's the guy who changes the little light bulbs inside the refrigerator. Jim Ingram has written the book, Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, A Baseball Life. And you're going to be Menor?
Barnes & Noble and Menor, Tuesday night, 7 to 8.
Okay, signing books, and then you'll be at Crocker Park when?
Crocker Park on the 26th of November, next Tuesday, from 7 to 8. Again, Mike Hargrove will be there for that one, too.
Excellent. Well, Mike Masetta, you gonna write a book really quick and get out to that book signing on Thursday?
I don't know about writing one, but I'd love to get out to that book signing. I'm a huge fan of Mike Hargrove. Great manager. I bet you the book is outstanding.
What do you think, Jim? You think it'll be outstanding?
I like it, but, who am I?
I knew a farmer who was outstanding in his field, but that's a different story for another day. All right, Mike, I guess we have to talk about Myles Garrett and what happened the other night. First of all, if they didn't have Thursday night games, that wouldn't have happened, but that's another story for another day. What's your take?
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Well, first of all, I preface what I'm about to say with what Myles Garrett did was 100% wrong, and he should be punished for it. The extent of it is whatever the NFL says the extent of it is. But that being said, Mason-Rudolph, I don't think there's any question in my mind from watching the film, watching it live and then watching the film, Mason-Rudolph instigated that fight. And he was tugging at Myles Garrett's helmet, and Myles Garrett reacted to it. I wish he wouldn't have reacted as harshly as he did, but it was a reaction to what was going on, and difficult to get two guys that were battling each other all day and being told to hammer each other and play the type of violent game that they're playing. When somebody's you're down to the last 8 seconds of a 60-minute game, and somebody's tugging at your helmet like that, you could seriously injure yourself or be injured because of it. And so, he reacted the way that he did. So I don't condone what he did, but I do understand it to some degree.
Did you guys see Saturday Night Live?
I did not.
They just said that they felt bad for the guy who didn't have his helmet on. They were trying to put it back on for him. So, Mike, you're involved in coaching, obviously at a different level with kids, though. But where's the coach in this, as far as discipline and not letting this happen? Where do you put the blame on the coach, if any?
Well, I think Kitchens' problems are. I think he has a lot of problems in terms of discipline and how his team acts, on the field. I think that this is just one of many instances throughout his, limited tenure here. I don't know how much you can blame him for I'm going to call it overreaction by Myles Garrett. I don't know how much Kitchens plays into that. But, that being said, there's a pattern here of of undisciplined behavior by a number of players. Myles Garrett, notwithstanding this incident, but also all of his penalties that he gets where he's roughing the passer, which most of those are happening on third down, and they're extending drives that have cost the Browns games. And so, that to me it falls on the coach's shoulders. And, I've been saying it since the start. I don't care how good the team is doing, now where they've won a couple of games, but they're undisciplined. They're still undisciplined, and this is just another long pattern of undisciplined behavior on the field.
And I mentioned earlier to Jim that you sort of feel sorry for Freddie. This was a signature win for him, beating Pittsburgh. And I didn't realize, although I guess I should have, that Cleveland has never beaten Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the same year, which is kind of amazing. But I felt bad for him because he got a signature win and he had no time, and nor did the players have any time to enjoy it because they were peppered with questions about this. And that's too bad, but that's part of what being a head coach in the NFL is all about, right, Jim?
Yeah, it is. And you got to, the peaks and valleys, and this is a gigantic valley for Kitchens and for the team and the organization. I mean, this is a really a black mark on the organization. Yeah. It's going to take a while for the NFL fandom to put this aside.
Yeah, but I think Mike made a good point. You had, in addition to what Myles Garrett did, you had OBJ with a watch and the wrong color, not the wrong, but interesting shoes. There's a lot of coaches in the league that I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick wouldn't allow that to happen.
No, yeah, I mean that's and to me that how this kind of stuff, maybe individually it doesn't seem like much, but the cumulative effect of it and the image that it projects for your team and your organization is not good. And then when you get something this bad with all the other stuff that's come before it, it just makes everything worse.
All right, so Jim and Mike, you got Miami coming up. They've won a couple of games, which surprises me. Then you got Pittsburgh again in a week and a half, and then Cincinnati you got twice. So let's talk football here. Can the Browns get back in it? They got a record of 4-6. They are back in it, but can they get over that hump? What do you think? Start with Mike.
Well, I think that they can. I think that the benefit, if there is a benefit to losing Garrett at this point in time, is that they're going to be playing 4 games in a row, I believe, against opponents that have very little offense. So, their defense, I think, will be fine. They're not going to be missing a whole lot without Garrett, and they've got some other players that can step in and fill that role on the defensive front. Offensively, they should be able to score enough points to win those games. So if there was ever a time of year for something like this to happen, this would be the time of year. The big question to me is not Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Miami, and even Arizona. It's Baltimore. If they can beat Baltimore, I think that they could get to 10-6 and make the playoffs. If they don't beat Baltimore, the best that they could hope for is 9-7. And then, then there'll be other factors at play. Yeah. They could end up in a tie with like a Buffalo or something like that. But it is surprising that throughout all of this whirlwind season that we've been through, this team could still very easily finish 9-7 and make a wild card round.
Now, I got a feeling that if Roger Goodell comes down on Mason-Rudolph and says 2-game suspension, most Pittsburgh fans will say, "Could we make it 3?"
Yeah, they're looking forward to that suspension. No, I mean I don't know how Rudolph got off without anything. And
he'll get something. He'll get something.
When it happened, Troy Aikman's response was, "Well, it looked like his hand might have been caught in his helmet, and that's what caused him to have to pull, to have to jerk it around like that." And it was like, no, that wasn't what happened. He was grabbing his face and trying to rip it off. I mean, that's literally what happened.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't get some time off for good behavior here or bad behavior. Jim, what do you think? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say his attitude toward the situation has been like that of a martyr. I mean, if you listen to Mason Rudolph talk, it's like as if he did nothing wrong. He's a saint and all this stuff. Right. And, here's Garrett out publicly apologizing, taking the blame for it, saying I mean, if I were Mason-Rudolph, I'd say, look, you know, I shouldn't have done what I did. He shouldn't have done what he did. The league is investigating, and let's move on. But by doing what he's doing, I don't think he's helping himself at all right now.
Jim, going back to the original question, can they make the playoffs? Or do you think they can rebound from this?
I think they can make the playoffs, but I don't think they can lose more than one game. And you know, the Pittsburgh game is going to be a war. I mean, the fans are going to be more jacked up than ever.
They've changed the time to that game, by the way.
Yeah. So that's going to be a really hard one. You know, they're playing Baltimore, who's playing maybe as good as anybody in the league right now, but they're playing them in Cleveland, so maybe they have a chance to do it again. But it's hard to see them beating that Baltimore team twice.
Mike, you got a final comment here as we wrap that up?
Well, just don't forget, when they play when they play Pittsburgh will be without Marcus Pouncey. And that's a major loss on their offensive line. He is the quarterback of that offensive line. They were not very good in the game against the Browns on Thursday. They'll be even worse when they play them in 2 weeks. And so that will, I think, will factor into the offense of Pittsburgh not being able to move the ball. The Browns could squeak out of there with a 20 to 14 win or something like that.
From the Pittsburgh fans' point of view, will there be enough Iron City beer to please everybody?
They'll be doing all right. They're going to need to drink a whole heck of a lot of Iron City beer with Rudolph in there because he was pretty bad on Thursday.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the game. Nature Stone. Wow, it's Nature Stone. How am I doing on that?
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Thanks, Mike, as always. All right, we've got the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't get us during the show, you can call the other 23 hours per day, 216-200-6650. Call anytime and leave a message. We had one earlier. We'll have another one when we get back. Coming up, the hunt for that wild card continues, and that's not Kareem Hunt. That's just the hunt. Back in a moment, exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohio-lottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
All right, here we have it. This day in sports history. Jim, a lot of things involved in this situation. Charles O. Finley attempts to buy the expansion Los Angeles Angels. He's turned down by MLB, but Cowboy actor Gene Autry buys it. Then Finley turns around and buys the Kansas City A's, who then become the Oakland A's.
Yeah. Charlie was ahead of his time in many ways.
Yeah, he did want orange baseballs, though.
Orange baseballs, yeah. I think he wanted night World Series games.
He was trying to get one World Series game per series to be televised at night.
Yeah, he had a lot of unconventional ideas. And the one that stuck the longest, of course, is the colorful uniforms. I mean, until he became an owner, it was just gray and white.
Wasn't he involved in the DH decision, too?
Possibly.
I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was. Also very influential in the career of MC Hammer.
Yeah.
And MC Hammer looked like the Hammer, Henry Aaron.
Yeah.
And he was about 13 years old.
He wasn't MC Hammer then.
No, he wasn't then, but he used to hang out at the Oakland Coliseum. And Finley decided he needed him to, when Finley was in Chicago, his home, he needed somebody to give him, they didn't have satellite radio to cover the games, but he would call him every half inning and tell him what was going on.
Yeah.
And then he became MC Hammer.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I think we covered most of this, but let's see if there's anything to do. This is from Tom Randazzo. I'm not diminishing Myles Garrett's meltdown, but you could see he was beside himself during the locker room interview. But I also believe he's very sincere in his public apologies, something Mason-Rudolph can't seem to bring himself to do, which is showing a true lack of character. Great show and great beard. Well, we were talking about beer night. Yeah, thank you. Les, this is from Al in Mayfield Heights. Myles should be punished. When it was over, he apologized. When he talked to Pouncey, he said he would do it again. And locker room sided with the Pouncey-Rudolph that are getting off easy. Your take? Well, I think we've given our take.
Do you think fans in Pittsburgh are complaining that Rudolph hasn't been penalized or punished yet?
He will be. Paul and Finley. Las Vegas should place odds on how many Browns skill players get concussions from helmet-to-helmet hits in the next Steelers game. And Baker will finally be fitted for a suit of armor. Wow. Wow. Let's go to Bob, who's in Chagrin Falls. Hi, Bob.
Les, I love the beard. It makes up for the growing forehead. Never mind. I have some information that I've not heard reported locally on Mason-Rudolph. His father played football, played fullback for Chagrin Falls High School for John Piott, and his grandfather owned a mechanical engineering firm locally.
I wasn't aware of that.
He has roots in Cleveland, and I've.
Well, so his father would have played about when? In about what year would he have played?
Well, God, he can't be. Who played with him? I know a guy who played with him. It can't be too long ago. I would think 20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
That to me is not long, by the way.
I understand. I'm not aware of that, but thanks. Somebody pointed out a year or two ago that Corey Kluber's father played at Mayfield High.
Yeah, right. He was a local guy.
Yeah.
His father.
Right.
And I don't know if this kid ever was born in Cleveland or not. I don't think he was. He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So I think that's his entire experience in life. But certainly it's a tight circle. And as far as I'm concerned, this had been going on all game between the two of them. And Garrett, if you saw, he landed on him after he got rid of the ball, after he passed the ball off, and he didn't get off of him.
Well, it was a bad set of circumstances. Yeah, there was a bad set of circumstances.
That maybe infuriated Rudolph, and on it goes.
All right, Bob, thanks so much for joining us. Good to talk to you. 216-575-0403. So the Browns still are in the hunt for the wild card. Let's take a look at the standings right now. This is, Houston would have it if it were to end today, but Houston and Oakland in at 6-4, Pittsburgh 5-5, Tennessee 5-5, and the Browns now at 4-6. Let's take a look at the Browns schedule here. And Browns, of course, have Miami, then Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Arizona, Baltimore, and Cincinnati again. Then the Texans, let's take a look at what they have. Texans have Indianapolis, New England. This doesn't look good for them. Denver, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, and Tennessee again. That looks to me, just at first glance, looks to me to be the toughest schedule. How about the Raiders? See what they're doing. Raiders have the Jets in Kansas City, Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Chargers, and Denver. Then you have the Steelers, similar to the Browns, Cincinnati and Cleveland. Arizona, Buffalo, the Jets, and Baltimore. Then we go to the Titans, see what they have. Titans have Jacksonville, Indianapolis, as well as Oakland, Houston, New Orleans, and Houston again. So at first glance, it looks like the Browns and Steelers, I think, have fairly the easiest, I think.
Yeah, but the Browns also have the most ground to make up, too. So
True.
that's going to be part of the equation.
Although if they take care of Pittsburgh, that would kind of eliminate them on the head-to-head.
Yeah.
So you think they'll make it?
No.
Why, they got more than a loss coming?
I think they're going to lose more than one game.
Yeah, well, if that
they
happens, they don't make it.
Yeah.
No question about that. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 huge bare-bone warehouses filled with the same stuff you're going to find at other stores, except for one thing, you're going to pay half or less than half. The bottom line is nobody's going to touch their everyday savings or quality. If you want nice big-ticket items and you want to improve your home and you want to pay half what most people pay, you got to go to one of the 4 locations. I'm including northeastfactorydirect.com, then east, west, and south. West 140th Street in Cleveland, the old B&B Appliance Building, that's in Euclid. Freeway Drive in Macedonia. Check them out with everything they have at northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn. They have won the James Beard Foundation Award 3 or 4 years ago. Only 4 restaurants in the country make that prestigious award every year. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski, very proud of that. To our knowledge, they're the only one in Cleveland that's ever won that prestigious award. Located in Tremont, established in 1923, it's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at this state and Les-Levine history and those odds we talked about when we get back exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Tri-C. This is this date in Les-Levine history. 1964, Les and his Brush High backcourt mates combined for 38 points in a win over Cleveland Heights. Dave Turk pumped in 27. Chuck Harding added 11.
Is that the night you had 30 assists?
Yeah. Hadn't thought of it that way. Well, do the math. How did I do that night in the scoring department? As we racked up 38 points.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, we talked about this before. Jim Ingraham is with us. The Browns are favored by the Dolphins by 10.5 points. Only the 3rd time since 1999 the Browns are favored by double digits. It happened in as recently as 2018 against the Bengals. And we'll take a look here. The Bengals line, the Browns were a 10-point favorite. Bengals had a 6-8 record entering the game. Cleveland had a 6-7-1 record. And the Bengals were playing without Andy Dalton and A.J. Green. Browns won that game, not enough to cover the spread, 26-18. Kind of amazing. You would think Well, maybe you wouldn't think they'd be favored by 10.
No, I mean, that covers since they re-entered the league, and for the first several years they were really not very good, as opposed to the next 7 where they also were not very good.
Or the middle 7 where
they were not very good also.
So there you see the Bengals and the Browns, and then you got the 49ers, and that was pretty ugly. The Browns were 11.5-point favorites. The 49ers had a 5-10 record entering the game. The Browns had a 9-6 record, and the Browns won that one again, not by enough. Oh yeah, that was enough to cover. 20-7, 13 points.
10 wins and they didn't make the playoffs.
Wow.
That. So it's not
I think
all
that was
of the Browns.
I think that was Joe Thomas's rookie year. I think under Romeo Crennel.
Yeah.
I think. Well, all right, we're going to come back with some How Come Quickies and more with Jim Ingraham, who will grade them, and I understand he's a very hard grader, but we'll see. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on the path to a bright future at Tri-C. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Check them out, tri-c.edu for more information. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they've got it racing with the 6 p.m. post time. Then on Saturday and Sunday, it goes to 6:40, but they're open at noon each and every day for simulcast action all over the world. You can win $500 in cash on Sunday afternoons with the contests that they have. Check it out at Northfield Park, where it's free parking, free admission each and every day. When we come back, we'll do some How Come Quickies and more. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, will join us. You see us live from 6 until 7, Monday through Friday. Of course, that's Eastern time, it's 6 to 7. Of course, you can archive us and watch us anytime on cleveland.com. Facebook.com is where you can also find us. More Sports and Les-Levine, new contest posted each and every day. Jim Ingraham is here. He has written the book Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, a baseball story. And he'll be at Menor at Barnes & Noble. That'll be this Thursday, right?
Yes.
From what time?
7 to 8.
7 to 8. Then he'll go to Crocker Park on the 26th of November. And great stocking stuffer gifts. And I'm going to read it tonight and tomorrow and the next day, however long it takes me to do. Bill is in Santa Clara, California. Hi, Bill.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well. Wait a minute.
Good.
Wait, hold on. I'm doing well. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing also
well. All right, we're both doing well.
That's good. Hey, just 2 points. One about, of course, the incident. And the point I'd like to make is that the overall culture of the Steelers for the last 20 or 30 years is that and indeed they are one of the best run franchises in football, besides the Patriots,
yep.
Year in, year out. But they feel it necessary to play dirty sometimes. I multiple instances, going after our punter back in '99. I remember 5 seconds after the flag blew, after the whistle blew, going after, I don't know who it was. They took one of our quarterbacks out, just decked them after, 5 seconds after the flag, after the whistle blew, and there have been multiple instances. And,
I agree with that, but I don't know that makes a difference with the players. I don't know that the current Browns and the current Steelers have any idea what the history is and if they will emulate that history. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. And the other thing is that it's even though this happens, it's a different time. Like this is this year right now. This
right. It has nothing to do with Joe Turkey Jones, Mean Joe Green, or anybody else.
These players don't even know who they are.
Right.
Right. No, I agree that but I think it's sort of the atmosphere that is created, and not just the Browns have this, it's beyond a rivalry. It's sort of a deep hatred of the Steelers, but it's also the Bengals. They hate the Steelers. I mean, there's bad blood between the Steelers. I don't know about the Ravens and the Steelers, but
I think it's great. In that division, everybody hates each other.
It's sad because it's sad that they feel they have to play dirty to win. And again, I'm not saying that it's true now, but during the game, I mean, there were a number of we took out all their receivers. We were playing no line, football.
Hard-nosed football.
I don't know if that had percolated down to the players.
Well, let me tell you this. I don't think the Browns and the Steelers players will know the name of this guy I'm about to mention, but he used to play for the New York Giants, Erich Barnes, and he was the dirtiest player in football. Then the Browns acquired him in a trade, and he was just a very aggressive football player. He wasn't dirty.
Everybody loved him.
I remember seeing him in like '67.
Stomping the head of a St. Louis Cardinal player.
So one other point I'd like to make, and this is what is really upsetting me about the Browns, besides all that stuff and the lack of discipline, which is we have the two best running backs in the NFL.
Yep.
And
yet maybe
we won a pass. We could have easily won that game. That should have been 42-3.
Yeah.
If we had just run the damn football, And
good point.
We got to pass. Everyone wants to pass, from Baker on down.
It's a passing game. All right, listen, Bill. I hate to do this to you. We have to upend you here for How Come Quickies.
I'm sorry?
I have to push you aside so I can go to How Come Quickies.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. How about that? He got pushed off by How Come Quickies.
Clothesline.
Yeah. All right, John in Lyndhurst says, how come Taki didn't go to Kentucky?
I'm still waiting for them to call a ticky-tacky foul on Taki.
I think he's from Walla Walla. I'm not sure.
You need a drummer in here.
How come Taki just looks too tacky out there? I don't know. We haven't seen enough of him. Big Ed. How come my dentist had this inscribed on his headstone? He's filling his last cavity.
I might have to give that a 10.
No. Can't give him a 10 because then they'll quit. They'll just walk.
9.8.
9.8 is good because we don't want people just tipping their cap and
then
walking
they get
away.
cocky and everything.
This one, cocky and taki. All right, this one is interesting. I had to think about it. I needed help to decipher this one. How come folks duck in the rain when it still hits them? In other words, you're standing here and it's raining and you duck. Wherever you go, it's going to get you.
Yeah, but it's going to take longer if you duck.
It's going to take longer, and you have to think about this too much. But a good job by Big Ed.
Yeah.
Mr. Gullible checks in today. How come when I used my vision to cut down a tree, when I saw it with my own eyes? You have to think too much of that? Saw it with my own eyes?
Oh, saw it, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's another level added.
Yeah.
How about this? How come Swedish ships have barcodes so the dock workers can scan the Navy in? Scandinavian.
I like that one.
I liked it too.
Yeah, that's good.
Mr. Gullible with his award-winning stuff.
Scandinavian.
John Patrick. How come I tried to lie to my x-ray technician, but he saw right through me? Give me a number.
I'll give you a 7 on that one.
7 on that one.
Might be a little high, actually.
But he's a frequent nightly contributor. We don't want to stifle that.
You give him an extra point for loyalty.
There you go, for loyalty. I think that's it. I like this. How come Taki didn't go to Kentucky Tucky? Could you imagine somebody doesn't know what that refers to and they're listening for the first time? What the heck is he talking about?
Yeah,
one quick question. Ohio State, do they win the whole? Do they lose to Penn State or Michigan?
No.
This
is the best Ohio State team I think I've ever seen.
Combined offense and defense.
Yeah, offense, defense. I mean, they've got second stringers that are going to be high draft picks.
Yeah. All right, great job by Jim Ingraham. His book is out. I'm looking forward to it. It's Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, A Baseball Life. We'll have Bud Shaw tomorrow night. Thanks for joining us. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.